Hi, we're Group G. My name's Scott McFarland,
I'm Stephen Lowry.
And I'm Tyler Gill.
and we're doing shoulder flexion and extension.
So we're going to talk about the joints of movement that the scapula does when we do shoulder flexion and extension. So the first joint of movement we're going to talk about is the glenohumeral joint. When that is with flexion and extension. The scapulothoracic, when you flex the scapula elevates and upward rotates, and extension depresses the scapula and downward rotates. The acromioclavicular joint, the scapula just in relation to the clavicle moves with, they move with each other. The planes of motion, the glenohumeral is on the sagittal plane and it rotates on the medial lateral axis. The scapulothoracic is on the frontal plane along with the acromioclavicular, and those both are on the anterior posterior axis.
We'll be now talking about the muscles. First of all, over the glenohumeral joint for the extension agonist, turn Scott around here. They include the latissimus dorsi and teres major. We'll flip them back around. And that includes the lower pec major and the posterior deltoid. The flexor agonists of the glenohumeral include the anterior deltoid, the upper pec major, and the coracobrachialis. In the scapulothoracic depression, it includes the pectoralis minor, and then turn Scott back around, and the lower trap muscles. For elevation of the scapulothoracic, it includes the levator scapulae, the upper and middle trap, and the rhomboids. This is the same as the acromioclavicular process. However, with the scapulothoracic, the serratus anterior is used in upward rotation.
So we're going to finish off by talking about all the different muscle contractions as we go through flexion and extension at the shoulder joint. So to start off, when we flex the arm, the glenohumeral joint, the anterior deltoid and the pec major are contracting concentrically, which means that, we turn Tyler around, the posterior deltoid and the trapezius are contracting eccentrically. And again, that's during flexion of the glenohumeral joint. Now if we flip it and we go to extension, where it comes backward, the posterior deltoid and the trapezius are going to be contracting concentrically, and then the anterior deltoid and the pec major are going to be contracting eccentrically. Now, as we go through these motions with the scapulothoracic joint, elevation, we're going to finish off by talking about the different types of muscle contractions in flexion and extension. So when we have flexion in the glenohumeral joint, our concentric muscles are going to be our anterior deltoid and our pec major, or our eccentric muscles are going to be our posterior deltoid and our trapezius. When we move into extension, our posterior deltoid and our trapezius are going to be our concentric muscles, and our anterior deltoid and our pec major are going to be acting as our eccentric muscles. Now we talk about the scapulothoracic joint. When we go into flexion, the scapula will elevate, and our levator scapulae, the serratus anterior, upper and middle trap, and the rhomboids are going to be our concentric contractions. And our eccentric contractions are going to be the pec minor and the lower trap, pec minor. Now when we go into extension and the scapulothoracic joint depresses, our concentric muscles are going to be the pec minor and the lower trapezius, and our eccentric muscles are going to be our levator scapulae, the serratus anterior, upper and middle trap, and the rhomboids. The great thing about this is our acromioclavicular joint is going to have all of the same concentric and eccentric contractors through all the same motions as the scapula. So we'll just cut it like that. I'll just edit that out.